Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Dais, a podcast about the stories taking place in and around El Paso County, Colorado. I'm your host, Scott Anderson, and today I am joined by Randi Davis, the Community Development Analyst for El Paso County. How are you doing today, Randi?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you for making the time to be here today. I really appreciate it. Before we get started, though, I want to quickly add that if listeners are interested in more stories about people doing good in and around El Paso County, or hearing from county leadership about local government priorities and how they operate, you can find additional episodes of this podcast on your podcast platform of choice. To get started, though, Randi, I was wondering if you could share some background about yourself and let us know how you ended up here with El Paso County.
Of course. So my earliest career here in our community was I worked as a plans manager for a custom home builder, and got to see people build their dream homes, and that was always my thing. I loved people, having the home that they loved. And I was there for about 10 years and ended that in 2008, 2009 when we had the housing crisis, and started working for a nonprofit. And I worked at the Rocky Mountain Community Land Trust for 14 years, doing affordable home ownership. So again, helping people achieve the dream of home ownership, which I absolutely loved. And I was a housing counselor for the last 6 years of that. So taught homebuyer education classes to over 6,000 people in our community. That was awesome. So housing, it's always been housing. And now I'm working with the county doing housing.
That's awesome. So what is it about that exactly, about housing and getting people into the house they want to be in? What is it about that really resonates with you and is something that you enjoy?
Everybody deserves to have a roof over their heads. So housing's just a dream. Everybody wants to be in the home that they absolutely love, and they deserve that. So I love helping people achieve that dream.
Awesome. And so your role falls within the Economic Development Department here with El Paso County. Can you talk about how your role fits within that department and sort of some of the things you do on a regular basis?
So our Economic Development Department has a holistic approach in that we do business incentives to help people grow small businesses. We also do nonprofit incentives. People can donate to nonprofits and help grow the community that way. We also have community development block grants and things that can help in that area. And then housing fits into that as well.
Great. And then for your role specifically, can you talk about some of the responsibilities you have and how you help people achieve their dreams of owning a home within, I guess, the realm of El Paso County?
So one of my major job duties is I'm the staff person for the El Paso County Housing Authority. And our housing authority is a non-traditional housing authority. We don't own or manage anything for El Paso County. What it is more is the county Board of County Commissioners decided 30-some years ago that they wanted to take some single-family bond proceeds that they had and loan that into the community to invest, to do the things that needed to be done. And the county can't make loans, so they created the housing authority to do that. And our housing authority has two pieces to it primarily. They have a housing trust fund where they can invest in properties that are used for affordable housing. And then they have the Turnkey Plus down payment assistance program where we can help individuals who want to become homeowners with down payment assistance.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about that program? Not because I have any personal desire to learn more about it, but it does seem like a program that a lot of people may not know about and could certainly benefit from. So talk to me a little bit more about that Turnkey program.
So Turnkey Plus down payment assistance is a standard down payment assistance program. People who are qualified can get assistance up to 5% of their purchase price to cover things like closing costs, the down payment, some of the fees that happen when you become a homeowner. The Turnkey Plus is interesting in that we go up to the missing middle, so we'll help families that make up to $162,000 with down payment assistance, because we know around here in our community the cost of rent is so high that people can't afford to save up for a down payment no matter what their incomes are. So we like to help that missing middle piece. There is no maximum purchase price for this down payment assistance program, which is pretty unusual. You don't have to be a first-time homebuyer to access these funds as well. But unfortunately, it doesn't help if people are looking to refinance. So that's one of the major questions that I get. It has to be a new first-time loan on a property. And our down payment assistance here in El Paso County is fully forgivable, which is just amazing. The first 5 years, half of it is forgiven, and then at 30 years, the rest is forgiven. So if a family lives in their home for 30 years, their down payment assistance is forgiven.
Yeah, wow. That is really cool. And you answered a lot. You answered a lot of my questions. Actually, I was thinking of while you were talking about, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer. And, that's one of those things where I think when you think about these programs for home buying assistance, that's usually the first thing that either qualifies or disqualifies you is if you are, buying a home for a second time. So that's really cool. Is this a program that is pretty unique to El Paso County, or are there a lot of these types of programs that exist outside of the county?
Well, there are several down payment assistance programs just in the country. Mm-hmm. Every state has a housing finance authority. Ours is Colorado Housing Finance Authority, or CHAFA, and CHAFA is the biggest down payment assistance in the state. So we're pretty comparable with that. They have lower interest rates right now than what we can do in our program, so their program's more widely used in our county at the moment.
Yeah. But I mean, like the interest rates themselves, it sounds like that probably changes on a pretty regular basis.
It sure does.
So definitely keep your eye to these type of programs if you are looking for a home in El Paso County.
Definitely.
Awesome. So outside of the turnkey program, what other county programs exist around housing that residents can take advantage of?
So not necessarily residents, but our housing authority likes to finance developments that do affordable housing. So if a developer is interested in doing affordable housing, they have what they call a funding stack. It's these developments can cost millions of dollars. So the money comes from various places. And El Paso County Housing Authority can be a small piece of that with their housing trust fund. So the housing trust fund, we like to say it's very flexible, up to $500,000, and the developer can decide how they want to pay that back. It has to be paid back. This money, it's not refilled from a pot from the government or anything. It's just a small pot of money, so it has to be repaid. But the developer can decide how they want to repay that back, what interest rate they can afford to spend to get that money paid back to us. Another part of the funding stack that the county can help with, we have private activity bonds. The way it works is investors invest in these bonds, and in return, if the property is used for affordable housing, then the money that the investor makes off of that is tax-free.
Oh, okay.
So that's what the investor gets, and we get affordable housing.
I see. Okay.
But there's only so many of these bonds that are given to communities, and it's based on population. And El Paso County right now gets about $14 million per year. Colorado Springs gets their own allocation of private activity bonds, and they get about $30 million per year. We also have Fountain. Fountain gets their own allocation of private activity bonds, and it's about $2 million per year. And we ask that Fountain assigns that to El Paso County so it stays in our community, because $2 million is not enough to do much of an affordable housing development these days.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. So what new developments are occurring in the near term in the affordable housing space here in El Paso County that you can talk to us about? It's
very cool around here. We've got several that are coming online this year. The Village at Solid Rock is a development in the 80910 zip code, which is pretty much the center of town. That one is a partnership between Solid Rock, CDC, Community Development Corporation, and the Solid Rock Community Church, which is amazing. They donated the land that this development is being built on. Commonwealth Development is the developer, and then Gracio Housing is going to manage the property once it is complete, which should be in the next couple months or so.
Oh, awesome.
They have 77 units of affordable housing that are coming online. We also have Panorama Heights, that is a Cohen Esri development down again on the south end of town. That's going to be 133 units. I hear that's coming later this year. Paloma Gardens is one being developed by Volunteers of America. That's 75 units of senior affordable housing. We definitely need senior housing around here. And then Silver Key Apartments is coming online in October. So I hear that's going to be 50 units of senior housing. All of this is pretty much in the center of town. And the Housing Authority, El Paso County Housing Authority, has invested in all of these properties.
So I'm just doing a little bit of quick math here, which is really dangerous for me, at least. It looks like there are roughly about 300 or so units that are coming online sometime near the end of this year. Is that like a large number? Is that like less than, what we're hoping for? Like, for someone who may not know anything about affordable housing, which I would certainly fall into that category, what does that look like from our perspective in meeting the needs of those people who are looking for the affordable housing?
There was just a study done recently that said the community as a whole needs about 6,000 to 7,000 units of housing to be brought online every year, which includes everything from market rate home ownership down to the affordable rentals, apartments. And so 300 is just amazing. We've got some people doing some really good work out there, but it's just a drop in the bucket for what we need.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So for you, why is it so important for your role, but, maybe a little bit larger, the economic development team, El Paso County, to focus on affordable housing as something that we're helping to provide the residents of El Paso County?
So when you think about affordable housing, the money that is put into these places means that they have to rent to people who make less income. And one way to think of it is a 60% maximum rent on an apartment. A family can make up to $62,000, a family of four. That's still rent at $1,560. A family of four, we're talking two parents making minimum wage. Full-time jobs can afford that. That's still crazy when you got single parents out there with 5 kids that are trying to rent someplace. $1,500 is still pretty expensive for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And when you're paying that kind of rent, you can't afford car insurance. You can't afford, to drive in general, or groceries. Groceries are crazy expensive these days. And then there's the medical coverage for all those kids. You can't afford that either. So having the housing that you can afford is really good for the community. So if we have any developers who are interested in doing affordable housing in our community, we have 2 application cycles with the El Paso County Housing Authority. The next one is going to be November 1st, so they better get their applications in sometime in October for the November 1st application cycle. Also, our El Paso County Housing Authority is made up of volunteers. There are 5 board members, and we have one opening right now. It's for the building industry representative. So if anybody wants to volunteer and they're in the building industry, we'd love to see their applications.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty interesting. There are a lot of volunteer boards that exist within El Paso County, this being one of them. For that role that you're looking for, like, what is the type of person, maybe the ideas and the experience they have that you're looking for to fill that role?
So somebody who's familiar with building in our community, the housing market for sure, maybe how building codes affect the cost of housing would be awesome. That's the kind of experience we've had on the board up to date. So somebody that's familiar with Home Builders Association and maybe plays a role in their office as well, that would be awesome.
Great. And then what is the role of that board in general? What do they do for the community?
So our Housing Authority board meets once a month, and at that meeting, they have those applications for the Housing Trust Fund and private activity bonds. They do not grant private activity bonds. They are a recommending body for our Board of County Commissioners. Okay. So they see the applications and then they recommend it to the BOCC. But they just meet monthly and decide where the funding can be applied in our community.
Yeah, and I think what's nice about that is someone who is unfamiliar with a lot of the work that the boards do is, they have general guidelines to go off of, like, hey, this is kind of what we're looking for in our like master plan of the community, right? So they can sort of be led and guided by that and helping to make their decisions. Because, I think especially for me, if I were to go into that, it maybe feel a little bit overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I'm making these big decisions for the county, but you do have guideposts in that master plan to help keep you in line.
And we also have industry representatives from various areas that, you don't have to know real estate. We have a real estate rep on the board. So that is very helpful as well. Yeah,
it's actually been really cool. Anytime I've had the opportunity to interact with the different volunteer boards here within El Paso County, everyone is like extremely intelligent, which probably goes without saying. But
their areas.
They all know, their areas of expertise, and they do a really great job, I think. So is there anything else that you want to add to the conversation that you think would be important for listeners to know about?
So my major project this year, I personally know of one affordable rental development here in town that always has a vacancy sign. Always. And that just bothers me. I know our community and I know this area, and it's amazing. It's a nice, quiet little area tucked away. Nobody knows about it, and it's always got a vacancy. That just bugs me.
Yeah.
So one of my goals this year has been to put together a map. And it's finally going live. It should be this week, where somebody who's looking for an affordable apartment can go to this map of our community and go to a certain area and find, hey, that's an affordable complex. And then they click on it and they get the management company, they get the website, they get the phone number. So I can't tell you if they have any vacancies. That's not going to be on my map, but I can tell you how to contact them to find out. So hopefully we can get some of those vacancies in the really awesome places filled.
Yeah, that's awesome. And where can people go to find that map and any other information that we've talked about today? Where can people go to find more of that information?
On the El Paso County website, there is a housing programs spot, and you can go right there and get all the information for all the programs that I talked about today.
Awesome. And then, we'll be sure to include a link in the show notes for this as well. So people who are listening, if you're interested, you can just click on that and it'll take you right there instead of having to go through any other Google searches or anything like that. Thank you. Randy, I really appreciate you taking the time today. I think especially with things like housing affordability and things like that, it can be really difficult to kind of get your head around all the things that not just the county does, but everything that's out there in the community. So thank you for taking time to educate us today and let us know about all that there exists out there. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
If you are interested in listening to additional episodes of Beyond the Dais, be sure to look for us on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.